Right.
Hello, mate.
Hey, Andy. Been a long time.
How are we doing? Yeah, exactly. Haven't seen you for ages, mate. You
No,
know.
it's only been like hours already.
Yeah. I just thought I'd hang out next to a brick wall for a bit.
Yeah,
By
nice.
the way. Yeah.
Good.
It's very
I'm a
stylish.
Pink Floyd fan. Good. I can get behind that.
There you go. Yeah, we see a brick missing, don't we? That's it. We're done. Good to
Yeah,
go.
good. All right. So welcome back, everybody. We haven't done a town hall in a little bit, but we're moving them to monthly just because we felt like, well, actually, super busy anyways. But then we can ball up a whole bunch of information and get it out in a 1 month time frame. We'll say with 1 month for a little bit until we feel like that's still not fast enough. No, maybe we'll go to bi-weekly. We'll find out what the balance correctly is. But and we're gonna have a guest pop up in a few minutes, and we'll introduce him once we're ready. But I wanted to go through the normal format, right? So what I usually do is people who don't really know who YOM is, and there's people finding us new every day. I go through a quick who we are, what we do, and then jump into some of the updates for people who are in the community to let them know what we've done on the technical side. And then most of this conversation today is going to be about BizDev, how exciting it has been, because Andy's been on the road with John and a whole bunch of people and really kind of pulled in a lot of interest. So let me start from the top. Again, if you're new to YOM, what we are a decentralized cloud gaming network. And as I said yesterday to the Neo Tokyo folks, every word in that sentence is important. So cloud gaming has been around for a while. People have tried to do cloud gaming. They find that it's really expensive for game developers to host on a central server, because the central servers are what it's powering AI now. It's getting more and more expensive, and it's got problems like lag and distance, and all these things are a problem with central server model. What we've done is built a decentralized model. What we do is we allow people who have a gaming rig put their gaming rig onto our network, and we pay them to allow us to use their rig to stream the games from their gaming rig to a player. People can play their games from any web browser. Inside of Telegram, we're working on Disc as well. So for game developers, this is the best way because it's super cheap. I mean, comparatively, what is it? It's 95% savings, right? So normally it can cost anywhere between $6 and I've seen some crazy numbers for how much it costs per hour on these central servers. We're down to like 5 cents a session. So it's super cheap. So for game developers, they want to reach a larger audience. They want people who don't have a gaming rig or don't have a console. This is the way to do that, right? You do it through a cloud, but you do it through a decentralized cloud, so it's cost efficient. That's a quick, Andy. What did I yesterday? You said I did such a good job. You wanted to record it, so I pulled down the recording and put it up. I don't know if you saw that.
Oh, did you? Oh, good stuff. Yeah. No, I think you nailed it, mate. To be honest, that's pretty much where we are. I mean, obviously, we've been going for 5 years is the point, and the last 2 years or 2.5 years have been very much building out the DePIN piece, and I think that's the big bit as to where we are now.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing there. I was just going to say hi to Hamza and hi to Jane, who obviously are OGs within
we've got
the group. So
already a crowd has joined us already. Yeah.
Nice.
And something we ought to talk a little bit more about, like where YOM got its start really as a metaverse project, but then we ran into the same problem that every game has. When you try to stream from a cloud, it's just too expensive to leave live. So we said we should solve that problem, and that solve has become the product. That's what YOM is now. So let me give an update on where we are, because it's been a while since we've been away, and a lot of technology has been built in the background, so people don't see it because they're not accessible to everyone. So we stood up back in the spring, the alpha testing network, right? We have a bunch of people from our community who are actually hosting nodes from their home. A lot of them in Western Europe. We've got one in India, one in South America, a couple here in North America. And this has been our test bed, right? This is the first step to finding out what problems do we run into when we hook the system up. And we found out things like people's home networking system, just their router, they're all different in different parts of the world. Sometimes you have to punch through a UPnP process, and sometimes it's an instant plug and play. So what we've done with this test network, what we've learned is, okay, we can make it more plug and play, which we've done that work in the past few weeks. We've done container scaling, which means we can now have. It used to be looking at like 2 or 3 games per node. Now we've got it's pretty much infinite, or the number of games that can be hosted on a node has now scaled quite a bit. We were having, good. Here's John. We were having an issue where we were leaving the games running at all times on all computers, so that the connection would be instant. and then realized, holy cow, that's a power suck for everyone who's got a gaming system running at home. So we said to keep the cost down, we actually have gone to a standby mode, which means the startup time is about 4 seconds as opposed to instant, but 4 seconds is pretty easy to overcome. But the cost savings for people who are operating the nodes is much better. So that's one of the technologies we've rolled out. And then, of course, we're working on our TGE is coming up in September. We don't have I'm not going to go too deep into the TGE just today. We're going to have a special town hall only for that. But work on the contract has happened as well, and we've been audited, and we've done some changes to the audit, or based on the audit, but that's all kind of been firmed up. Andy, anything on the tech side that I didn't go into that you feel like is another big win?
Tech side. Yeah, I mean, no, there's a couple of things coming which are going to be very interesting, actually, which I was hoping the plan was to have them live now, but it's going to be next month. But I mean, what I would say is in the next 3 months, we've got developments across all spaces, across what technology we can use, across where the games can be streamed.
I know
what games we can run, all this stuff, which will just, I mean, it should 4 or 5x where we are potentially at this moment, and where we are potentially is a very lucrative place within the gaming arena. And again, I don't want to sound too cryptic, but yeah, watch this space. That's it, really.
Right. All right. Well, let me. I'm going to bring up John. John, welcome to it. Hello, John. How are you?
I'm good. It's a bit echoey. We've just been moving furniture around, so it's a little echoey in here.
Yeah. You have an empty bookshelves behind you. Are you in the middle of a move?
It's my buddy's place. He's moving, and I was helping him today. And I thought we'd be done.
You're moving. It's never finished.
I was thought we'd be done about 12 o'clock, and here we are, still at it. Anyway, yes.
So it's very interesting because as I do, right, I went and looked at your LinkedIn profile, and of all the people I've worked with, or you and I have about 274 mutual contacts if we actually know them. I'm sure, like you, like me, most of them I'm like, okay, well, I've been their contact, but I don't really know them very well. But some names I know extremely well that you appear to know as well.
Gosh, I'd have to have a look. I didn't check that. My record, we call it LinkedIn bingo. So you check out who's got the most, connections. And my record was one guy when I had 1,700 connections in common, which I'm like, that's more than my father. That's ridiculous.
That's normally a good sign. You can tell if someone's in the right space.
If
they've got a lot of connections.
So I'm curious if you would
13,000 in total, actually.
Do you know what? I tell you what I'm just thinking. I'm just wondering if we should maybe give a bit of a synopsis on, what John does, why he's with business, all that kind of stuff. Because it's sort of, maybe it links in a little bit to what I was going to lead into. So not to cut you off there, John, but maybe if I'll do a little bit of blurb on it. So basically, as a headline, I've known John for a couple of years now, and we first started talking a while ago. And John, 4 years, God, mate, doesn't time fly? Anyway, John's been to say John's been around the gaming space a long time is an underestimation. He's been in the space dealing with, and he'll tell us some good stories, I'm sure, in a bit, but dealing with high level, low level, partying hard, doing all the good story stuff for a long time. But John now has come on board as business development director with us, and the reason being is what we noticed is we've got an amazing product. We've got something that people really want, but actually getting in front of them can be quite difficult. And this kind of leads us a little bit into the situation that John and I had in Brighton at Brighton Develop, which is what we're going to talk about now. Might be an idea, actually, if what we can do is maybe, John, if you want to give us a bit of synopsis on you and your background and stuff, because I think that's really interesting what you've done over the years. And I think people will be like, okay, big tick. Do you know what I mean? So,
Oh, I love talking about myself. So, that's so I was one of the founders of IDOS, but way back in the day, I used to write games. I was one of those kids in a bedroom and making games on my Atari and selling them on cassettes and on floppy disks. So I've really been in the business since about as long as it's been around. Then I wrote a James Bond game, actually, and then got hired by the company I wrote it to run all of their development. And that company became IDOS, which, we might have heard of. We, made a few games like Hitman and Tomb Raider and Formula One and, just Thief and Deus Ex and a whole string of, hit games. And that was from, well, God, that was a very long time of working there. And I sold up and left. Took a year off in France. My son was just born. And then I invented this toy, an early learning toy for kids. It was basically control your DVD player. So it was a computer that controlled your DVD player. And so it was a touchpad and all that, a bit like a Leapfrog, but with DVD. And took that public in the stock exchange in London and eventually sold it to Mattel, who cocked it up royally. Um, and and then got back with some of the buddies from the IDOS days who had a studio called Kujun here in the UK. They had about 300 people. And they wanted someone in BD over there, and they started to open a studio in the US. So I did that for 2 years, and then I was headhunted to run interactive for Paramount. So we were turning movies into games and games into movies, basically. So so we did, Star Trek, Mission Impossible. Oh God, what else did we do? Top Gun.
Rango. I like
Rango.
that. That was a good story. That one.
I even did Grease as a dance game, a dancing and singing game on the Wii, proving you can turn anything into a game. And then after about 4.5 years there, I was finally sick of LA and I wanted to come back to London. So I upped sticks, moved back in 2013. So I've been back here since then, running my agency where I help out companies like you guys, with technology companies looking to, get into publishers and game studios, or licenses. I ran licensing for the BBC, so as well as Paramount, so I'm very familiar with brand licensing. I did worked with a whole host of clients, including on Web3, doing Doctor Who, so that gets me to today. So I'm basically helping the guys get their fabulous service in front of the right game publishers, so we get lots of really good games on the service, which is key, obviously.
And doing a brilliant job, I must say. Yeah, inspirational. I was going to say, I mean, look, I think you massively. It's a really nice story. I mean, the fact of getting you on board again, I can't say how how good it is and how exciting it is, and I think this leads us kind of nicely into we sort of inked the deal, didn't we? Like just before Dev Brighton, and I think that was a bit of an eye opener for both of us. Not only because Vanessa booked me into the shittest hotel in the universe, which hadn't been cleaned or anything, but we were basically face to face in front of publishers and gaming studios and everything else all the time anyway, so it didn't really matter. But it was, I think, John, I told you this quite a few times actually. I was sort of going there thinking, not been to these things before, thinking, oh, okay, it's going to be interesting. We've got meetings with Sony, we've got meetings with Samsung, we've got meetings with a few. I don't want to mention names just because we're in the process of obviously talking about signing them up. Some AA and AAA gaming publishers and studios. And I was a bit like, I'm sure this is just going to be a waste of time. It's going to be some marketing person who's there. Not that there's anything wrong with marketing. Please don't say that. But a bit of a kind of, it's going to be someone in marketing. They're not going to be, deal makers. They're not going to be the people looking to do stuff. And it was eye-opener. It changed my view on what the appeal is for YOM, because again, prior to this, we've been very much talking to Web3 games and smaller indie games. Generally, they don't have money. That's the first thing. Secondly, they don't necessarily have massive customer bases. They're very much like, how do we get this running? They're looking for beautiful games, but they're not necessarily thinking about the commerciality of it. They're not necessarily thinking, right, okay, how do I get this game in front of 600 million people? How do I get those 600 million people to buy my game, which is what the publishers do. And I think when we started, John and I, when we started talking to people, John's network is massive. You know, we were walking through places. John had grabbed some poor person, generally a guy, and sort of go, Andy, talk to them about YOM. And I'm like, oh, okay, great. You know, and it was really good fun. It was great to do it. But as much as anything, it was really interesting the feedback we were getting from Web 2 businesses. They were excited about what we were doing. They were like, hold on. So you're telling me I can have an advert on Facebook, click on it, I can then play the game straight away. The call to action then is to go to the Steam wish list, which is what a lot of people want, or it's go to buy the game. And all of a sudden, people can see this massive view on how they can get more people to their game. They can't get them to buy the game, obviously. They've got to like it, and it's got to be a good game. But they can get eyes on the ball, which again is really difficult normally.
It is the biggest challenge because everyone's playing freaking Fortnite or whatever, and you know, you see an ad, and typically you go, oh yeah, hang on, I just got to finish killing this guy, and then the ad goes away, and you forget to buy the game or you even check it out. And so the fact that they can instantly click on it and get 5 minute, 10-minute, 20-minute, whatever the publisher wants experience of it, and then download it, your conversion rate from the ad is hundreds of percent higher than just, you know, relying on memory alone, especially mine. So, you know, it's you know, when you think it's the TikTok generation, right? If they can't see it, touch it right there and then within 5 seconds, that's all you've got, or else you've lost them. Right. And so that's the great thing about this. It could be a TikTok ad. It can even be a message on Discord. It can be, you know, whatever they're, you know, Telegram. And so they just, you know, it's the instant clickability. That's the beauty. And then the great thing is it doesn't matter what device they're on when they do it. Right. They don't have to be at home on their PC. They could be on the laptop, and they can still play it. And it doesn't even have to be a PC laptop. It could be a Mac or a Chromebook or anything. And then they've got the game. And so, you know, then add it to the wish list, like you said, and you've got them. And then, you know, also the great thing about YOM is, you know, other like attempts to do this, they've had two big problems. One is the speed, and the other one is the cost, because you're going through a data center. So the pricing model that ROM is at opens up all these new business models. They can have that game on the site to be played anywhere for a subscription, right? So you like The Sims, but you don't, when you're on the road and you want to play it, but it doesn't run on your company laptop. Bing, now you can play it. So, you know, play anywhere. You know, is like a valuable proposition to the customer.
Yeah. I was going to say, I think we came away with about 10 or 15. Look, we want to do something. Let's just work it out. One of the games in particular is a 60 million monthly users. It's a game that everyone will know. Yeah. It's a big UE5, and obviously we're not going to mention names, but it's been a really interesting one from that side. And actually, John, we've obviously got Gamescom coming soon.
Yes, I mean that's like Develop on steroids. I mean, it basically, the Cologne Mesa is 8 football fields, if you can imagine.
It is incredible. I don't know, the B2C bit is,
it's 200,000 people.
I was going to say the B2C bit.
It's 200,000 sweaty Germans. If that doesn't scare you, nothing will.
How do you, John, when you compare it to GDC, how does it compare size-wise to GDC? Blows it away?
Well, because GDC doesn't have a what do you call it? It's all B2B, so it doesn't have a, you know, the thing. So they have stadium-sized arenas with 40,000 people watching a game. You know, that it's on another planet. But in terms of business, though, it's about the same size as GDC.
Gotcha. Okay.
You get a lot more of the Europeans going to that than will come over for GDC. So, but a lot of the US come over, a lot of Japanese come over, and Chinese and Koreans. They all come to Gamescom. Mostly because a lot of them have subsidiaries there now as well. And so, there's more games companies in Britain, but there's in the UK. I mean, but there's some pretty sizable ones in Germany as well.
Right. So it sounds like the top of the funnel pitch is the one that, because we had so many different ways that we were going to go, and I talked, we talked many times. So I just did yesterday too. The idea that it used to be you could you could get the sample disc. It would come in a sleeve and with
exactly.
PC Gamer, right? And now
yeah. That's exactly. In fact, one of the people we talked to was is a magazine, not a magazine, is a gaming site, and we can now do exactly that for them on their site. We can bring that back, so you'll be able to you'll read the review, and it'll have a thing you play now on it, and Bing, you can play it for 10 minutes. So and then that's another great way to of customer acquisition. And it is, we're back to the demo days. You can't really do that any other way, because the hassle of downloading something, installing it, finding the right bloody driver, or whatever happens, so you need Windows 11.72 or something like that crap. People don't want to do it, but it'd be able to just play it and it'll play on any device that can play a YouTube video. So that's billions.
So
billions, exactly. 3.3 billion gamers, and then however many people are in the world now?
Eight.
What is it? 8
8
billion.
billion.
So we can get hold of all of them.
Sorry, 8 billion and
8
2.
billion and 1. The other interesting thing I was going to say, just to let people know, we've been through a selection process at Gamescom, and obviously Gamescom, just to give people concept, is 30,000 B2B people. So it's gaming companies, it's investors, it's private investors, VCs, you name it. And we've actually been invited through to the final stage of presentation now, beating 200 Web 2 and Web 3, although predominantly Web 2 businesses, through to pitch at their investor circle, which is in front of, I think, about 100 investors. And that's 200 people we've beaten so far. And it's not, the last 10 is not 10 to beat, because we can all get investment. But I pretty much, I need to look at the list actually, but I think we might be the only Web3 finalist through to the final stages, which is a massive, interesting accolade as to what people now view as the model and what we can bring to the table, not within Web3, although that is obviously beneficial, but within the Web2 space, which is a ton bigger, basically.
Yeah, we yeah, I'm not sure that. So for people who are just tuning in, John and I haven't had much FaceTime at all, really. So first, I'd like to say I'm feeling pretty good now that I hear John giving us our pitch back from it, but he's saying the same thing we've been saying for a while. But this is a guy who's more connected. That does feel awfully good to know that we weren't just saying it because we thought we were right. Looked out that John agrees, which is great. Yeah,
it was good validation at the show for sure.
Yeah. But then I was going to go somewhere with this. What the heck was I going to? So when we are going to Gamescom, then the difference being that we were going after, like Andy was saying, we were going after the small developers and independent guys, because we felt like there was the report that Matthew Ball put out at the beginning of the year. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it. He put out a very large report on the gaming industry, state of the gaming industry in 2024. Okay. It's a great report. I went over it on this channel with a couple of different times, dissected a couple of different ways. One of the things that he kind of said was, with the tool suites and AI helping people make games independently now at home, you'll see a lot of like smaller games that are very creative, and they're basically user-generated content, but it's the full game itself. So we thought that market was pretty, it was a nice market to tap into in the YouTube model of anybody can make a game and we can put up an aggregator and everyone can post their game. But I think what we found out, and Andy kind of mentioned it here already, is they don't have a lot of big pockets. And the publishers are, obviously they're also looking for ways to get there. They're going to be competing with those smaller titles as well. So they want a better channel to get their games out in front of more and more players. So I guess not really a question here, just to say that it is a change for us, for everyone to know who's watching, that we've gone after now the publishers as a much better, much faster way to grow and to scale what our network can do. Is that fair to say, you think?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
100%.
Yeah. I mean, it's the natural home, and as you say, they're already spending money on user acquisition, vast amounts, and most of it wasted, right? Because if you look at the conversion rates of from an ad to a purchase, it's very low. You see, the PC market's a little different. It depends what you have to look at it in two different ways. There's the PC market that for free to play, and then there's PC market for paid. And so you've with free to play, it's all about, you know, constant onboarding, you know, constant churn. With paid games, you know, they've put an investment into it up front, and so they're a lot more picky about what they buy. Everyone tries a free to play game because it's free, but before you shell out 50-60 bucks, you're going to think about it. So that's why we're so effective, is they're not just relying on word of mouth or whatever, or with Steam wish lists or whatever. It's like, no, play it, you know, and then you'll really get an informed decision.
Yeah, I was just going to say, the interesting bit is we looked at the holy grail of AAA games and publishers as something that we probably did in 2028. Yeah. And we were like thinking very small around onboarding smaller games, you know, making things work, you know, piece by piece. And actually now it's like we're onboarding the top tier games, which is crazy when you think about it, because we think that the indies will be a massive space, user generated content, all that kind of stuff. But the fact that we've skipped forward 3 years in our development as a business to be able to onboard the AAA games is just crazy. So anyway, watch this space in Gamescom.
And I'm not sure, John, if you've worked this into when you talk to these publishers as well, because we do all say if you play the game, you're more likely to buy it, right? You get a chance to actually try it out. The other part of it is the difference between the disc model that used to exist and now is, if I've played the game because I've got the link on my, online that I've clicked and played, I can actually send that link around to all my friends inside of all my social media, right? So it's not like I'm handing the disc out to my friends and he installs it and then comes back and gives it to the next guy. It's instant, right? The loop becomes very, very fast.
Yeah, it's a great viral, medium to do, you know, that you can just send it, especially as I said, you know, if it's on Discord or Telegram, that's because that's where the eyeballs are anyway. Yeah. And just being able to play off of an URL, that's fantastic.
Yeah. All right, so tell us about when does Gamescom happening? It's in late August or mid August?
Third week of August.
13th. Okay.
So no, third week of August. 21st to 23rd, something like that.
22nd or something like that, is it? 21st?
Yeah. There's two parts.
We've got lots of. Sorry, go on.
Oh no, sorry. There's two parts. There's DevCom and Gamescom. So DevCom's for developers. That's on a Sunday, Monday, and then Gamescom for trade is Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then all of the plebs show up on Thursday, Friday. I mean, fans show up. No, we love them. But they show up then through the weekend. So seriously, I mean, you walk. I mean, every day I was you're like a number of steps. I was doing like 16,000 steps a day, and it's August in Cologne, and so it's 95 degrees, and it is murder, but it's worth it. You know, everyone who's anyone is there, and you know, even though it's you wear out a pair of shoes going from one hotel to another to the other side of the conference hall, but it's still it's you come out of it, you know, with the next 12 months of business there and ready to go.
Right. Okay. Andy, what other things should we touch on?
This is one thing actually which I haven't asked John, so it's going to be really interesting to see what he says and see if he blinks. By the way, okay. So there is a deal. There is a deal with the YOM token, by the way, where when the YOM token gets to $1, not £1, and there are 300 million on, so that's a market cap of 300 million. Everybody's getting a tattoo.
All right.
No. I'm
trying to get rid of mine.
Yeah, well, that's it. A quick little one on your bum. You know what I mean? Left cheek, right cheek. Yeah.
No, but anyway, on my toes. That'd be helpful.
That's it. Well, you got to have the logo with YOM written on it. So
anyway, at the very least, we can get the YOM hat.
I can't remember who brought it up.
To get the tattoo. We just give him the hat with the.
Just give me the hat.
There you go.
I'll get my tattoo removed when we hit 300 million. How's that?
That's it. Sounds like a deal. Perfect. No, I think that was it. I think it was really interesting, very exciting going with John. I'm really looking forward to Gamescom. I think what we have also seen, by the way, over the last couple of weeks is a turn in the market. You know, the price of Ethereum going up, which is a knock on. There is some money coming out of BTC and going into Ethereum and Solana, etc., pumping. This feels like we're in the right time and the right place to be launching a token, and also the demand and the conversations that we're having on the token side, on the launching side, on the publisher side, feels like we're in a kind of a nice kind of tsunami, you know, which everything should hopefully, say touch wood, hit at the right time. So yeah, I'm very
I actually
excited.
don't know your background in the Web3 space. Have you dived in at all? Are you staying away? What's your feeling on the Web3 space, tokens and all?
You're asking me?
Yeah, John. Yeah.
I've been involved in Web3 for 6 years. So I mean, it was like before it was even called NFT. We were involved in it. So I was consulting with a company called Reality Plus, and they did a game called Reality Clash, and then which was basically Pokemon Go with guns, but you could buy and sell weapons and trade them online. And from that, they did Doctor Who Worlds Apart, which is a Web3 there now. You can go look at it. So Web3 PC and mobile collectible card game. And again, you can buy and sell all the cards from the game, from the characters, and then play them in the online against other people.
So certainly you've heard there are plenty of people in the gaming industry, right, in the traditional gaming space, who are keeping crypto at arm's length, and some of them are even just pushing it away. Do you feel like that's going to change, or do you feel like that's, what's your stance on all that? Are people going to kind of come aboard?
Well, trouble is, like, people, there's a lot of misunderstanding of what crypto is out there. There's a lot of disinformation put out by people who didn't want their customers going outside of their ecosystem. So they want the V-Bucks, to stay in V-Bucks and that. They don't want it going out anywhere else. The same if you're in Roblox, you've got. So those they've got a vested interest in keeping the system closed. So the idea of the true digital ownership is actually an anathema to them, right? Because they want that money every time it trades. They don't. So when you buy it, whereas very early on when I moved back from California to London, and some helpful idiot at Amazon told me to change my account from US to UK, every single thing that I'd bought on Amazon vanished and could not be gotten back.
Oh no!
So all the movies, all the music, everything gone. It was like Jeff Bezos came through in his rocket and took all my stuff, right? And that's because of copyright issues between the UK and the US, right? Or Europe and the US, whatever. They just divided up. So you don't own anything digitally, nothing. So now the kids, right, like my daughter. My daughter just bought her a record player, and she's got collecting vinyl because she likes owning the things. She doesn't want them to be gone on Spotify one day, because we've seen the movies go away. People are all buying DVDs again because it goes off of Netflix. So it's funny how these things work. But so there was a lot of disinformation around it and at the beginning, and also, but then they didn't do themselves any favors. An awful lot of scammy activity as well, right? Rug pulls and crappy games that were just really about pumping a token and all the rest of it. Fundamentally, if you look back and you do for example, Doctor Who, it doesn't mention the word NFT anyway. You can buy the cards with your credit card or your debit card, or you can link your wallet. So those that know, and those that don't know, don't care. It just works. So when you use it as a technology, a storage technology, and a digital receipt and things like that, then it's fantastic. But when then once you get then you get into the murky world of tokenomics, you can see why people back off, because they're like, I don't know it, therefore I don't understand it, I'm not going to do it, right? But it's like free to play, the games, again, that's a particular, what do you call it, genre. From a psychological perspective, they are actually not games. They're slot machines. There is no skill involved in getting to the next level of any of these games. It's just either a grind or you buy it, right? So there's no skill with prizes, which is essential to any game, to the definition of a game, if you like, right? So, maybe Web3, will be its own thing, and that's fine. but I don't know if they'll all meet. So not a lot of people went from paid games over to free to play. They carried on making paid games. Free to play became its own thing. All new companies rose up out of it. You see this all the time over the years. Anytime there's a paradigm shift in terms of like a platform or a technology, there will be new players, because the old guys, they just wait around to see if whoever's successful, then they buy them. Well, why bother? Because you've got the paper to it. So EA waits and then buys. With a golf game for $1 billion. You're telling me you can't make a golf game for $1 billion? But it's better for them to do that. Activision bought King. That's way better than from their perspective than being out there, right? Having loads of studios trying to do all these things. It's just let them figure it out. The market will decide, and then pick the winners. Pick off the winners. So that's why you get Rovio. No, people didn't even know where Finland was. And didn't even believe it existed. Until 2012. And suddenly it's the powerhouse of mobile games. So yeah, every time there's a paradigm shift, you're going to see new studios, new countries, but new centers of excellence. And Southeast Asia. For example, Web3 is not a dirty word. It's great. Everyone gets it. They're fine with it. And so, yeah, they will. Next paradigm shift, whether it's streaming, people are going to start building games just for streaming, with that in mind, and no other distribution method. There are going to be, anytime there's a platform, somewhere is going to come up with. It's not going to be me, but he's going to come up with a reason that this game has to be streamed. It could be live, for example, right? So we could get into like the way Netflix has changed. We don't, you don't get, you got to be home by 7 to watch the latest episode of Star Trek or whatever. But maybe that stuff comes back, through streaming. So
I like that.
Or maybe it will be me. I just
idea.
thought, yeah.
Yeah, patent, quick trademark. Thanks.
You're not recording this, right?
That was one thing.
It's actually interesting because
did you
again? You're repeating kind of the same things that we had said, and it actually shows up also in the report that I was just talking about. The idea that the new technology creates a new genre. You didn't have the battle royale until you had the infrastructure to support that many people joining a single shard and sharing across distance and that kind of thing. And a fully persistent, a long-lasting, fully persistent metaverse world requires, in my mind, a streaming system that allows you to stream at much lower cost than what's currently available. Until we get out there. I'm sorry, Andy, I cut you off. You were going to say something.
No, I was just going to say one thing we forgot to talk about is the patents that we've applied for.
Oh,
now obviously
two, right?
we can't talk about three. We can't talk about the patents, but the interesting thing is the technology that the team have built basically enables the orchestrator to allocate resources to the correct GPUs. And what you do with patents, if people don't realize, is you can't, it's almost impossible to patent the whole thing because it's just too big and too specific. But what you do is you patent certain elements of it. That then makes it too difficult for people to actually just recreate the whole thing. They have to either work a bridge, which is quite difficult, or they have to recreate a different way of doing it. And we've got 3 of those, which are now pending, which again is a tech dev, which is pretty good because it increases the moat of the technology.
Yeah. I did get a question too from the community to kind of jump in on. People had asked, when does the Alpha 2 wave start, right? So we have the first wave of alpha testers, Alpha 1. Alpha 2 is where we double Alpha 1. We get twice as many people. But that is being paused. We're building the checker app, which is the application that you would run on your computer to see not just your up and download speed, but also how many hops you have to a main bridge. How much jitter you have in your line. These are the kind of things that would inform you how many streams you could run off your node, or, off your home gaming system, because that's people, as they calculate how much money they can make. And if you haven't done that yet, you just go to our website. We've got a calculator that'll help you estimate. But if you're thinking about running a node and you want to know how much you really want to download this checker app, that checker app is still being developed. So that's pausing. So we're really looking at maybe the end of August, beginning of September before we get Wave 2 going. If you're part of the Wave 2 group, or if you wanted to join in as a tester, there's also a form that you can fill out. It's available through our Discord. We're taking names still, but it's still not going to be until the end of August, I think, until we get Wave 2 stood up and running. And then I got another John. I got a question for you.
By the way, can
Go
I
ahead,
interrupt?
please.
Do you realize why they're doing all the questions? Because they're all getting XP
Oh, are they?
for asking questions. So it's like this. So I think people have worked out how to do it. Anyway,
Someone
it's
is
fun.
asking John what your favorite scene was at Hitman. He's talking about the dark Easter egg scene from Hitman 3, but he'd like to hear yours.
I actually have the executive producer of Hitman. That's his house I'm moving right now.
Is it? Get him on. Get him on. Can he come on? Get him on. Where is he?
Yeah, we got a Hitman fan here.
Everyone's a Hitman fan.
My favorite is the one in Sid's movie as well, in the bathroom when he gives the rocks to that. This is Jonas Enneroth. He was the executive producer of Hitman, and then ran IO's studio, IO Interactive, for a number of years.
Very nice. Very nice.
Very cool. Very cool. Well done, mate. That's all we can say. Round of applause.
Enjoy.
Yeah. Very good. I think any of the questions people wanted to learn, to get a lot of people laughing, but if not, I think we can come into 45 minutes. We generally try to keep these about 45 minutes. That gives, if it's an hour long, some people don't click on the video when it's in the replay, but this goes out live, and then I do some editing, pull the best parts out and make them like little quick videos. Because as you said, attention spans have gotten shorter and shorter.
Can you put me in a clean t-shirt for when you edit it?
Photoshop you. Mate, we'll Photoshop you.
Effects.
It's like the Trump photoshops.
Yeah.
You'll be in
I could just all the babies. I like the baby one. That baby talking AI stuff. I'm a big fan of that stuff now. So yeah,
we can do it. We can do it. Well, look, thanks ever so much, John.
Good to see you. Bye.
Very good. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We're going to be in well, again, probably be another month before we have another one of these, unless again things pop up, and we will have one that's just focused around the TGE, so we can get everybody kind of coalesce around all the different pieces that go into our TGE. So thank you everybody for tuning in. Thank you, John. Thank you, Andy. We'll talk again soon.
Take care. Everybody. See you soon. Ciao. Bye bye.